Good morning, students. So today we'll learn about Schrodinger equation. Of course, we have already learned about Schrodinger's independent equation, and today we'll learn about time dependent Schrodinger equation. So before we go for Schrodinger's time dependent equation, let us uh, try to find Schrodinger's time independent equation, and then we'll go for the other part. Okay. So this is kind of bit repetition. So we know that the wave function that was defined by the Schrodinger, and this wave function is function of x, y, z and t, and we were trying to separate this variable by writing psi is the function of uh, xyzt, and psi 0 is the function of xyz only, and then some function of time. So this is called as variable separable separation method. So we can take this f of t as the exponential function, and we have taken this as exponential minus I omega t, because we know that for natural occurrence the wave function, the amplitude of the wave function always decrease in time. So using this value, and we know the standard wave equation. So this wave equation is applicable for all the waves, like waves on the string also. So we can just go for, sorry, we can just write the equation here. So the standard wave equation is del 2 psi by del x square plus del 2 psi by del y square plus del 2 psi by del z square is equal to 1 by v square del 2 psi by del t square. Let us write this as equation 1. Now this equation suggests that there is a change of wave function with respect to x, y, z and t. Now as we have already written that the psi, which is a function of say x, y, z and t, and it is equal to psi 0 x, y, z and e to the power minus I omega t. So in short, I can write this as psi equal to psi 0 for simplicity exponential minus I omega t. Now we know that psi is the function of x, y, z, t, whereas psi 0 is the function of x, psi 0 is the function of x, y, z only. That is the space coordinate, and we have the separate function of time. Now from this equation, we just try to find out the value of del 2 psi by del t square. Now differentiating this say equation 2, we can differentiate equation 2 with respect to time. So this is first order derivative right now. So we get del psi by del t, and that is equal to, now psi 0 is not function of t. So we can take the psi 0 as constant with respect to time. Remember, with respect to time it will be constant, and then we can write del by del t of exponential minus I omega t. Okay. Now we can just differentiate this simply, like psi 0 is differential of this. So exponential differential of exponential is the same as that of the exponential, and multiply by the differentiation of minus I omega t. Okay. So minus I omega t ka differentiation, it will be just minus I omega. Okay. And therefore we can write this as minus I omega psi 0 e to the power minus I omega. Now this is first order differentiation, and therefore we can again differentiate it del 2 psi by del t square, which is equal to, now minus I omega is constant, so I just write minus I omega. Psi 0 is constant with respect to time, so psi 0 is constant, and del by del t of exponential minus I omega t. Now this is equal to minus I omega psi 0 as it is, and the differentiation of this is just like above what we have uh, calculated, is e to the power minus I omega t into minus I omega. So what we get is this equal to, now this is minus and minus, it becomes plus. So this is plus I square and omega square psi 0 e to the power minus I omega t. Now we know the value of psi 0 e to the power minus I omega t, that is psi, and therefore what we can write, that del 2 psi by del t square is equal to I square. I square is minus 1 as we know, so this I minus 1 into omega square, so this is omega square and this is psi. So in detail we can write del 2 psi, which is psi is function of x, y, z, t, divided by del t square is equal to minus omega square psi, where psi is the function of x, y, z and. Now using this value in equation 1, so we have this equation 1 as the wave equation, we'll put this value here and we'll try to solve the equation. Now what we get is equation 1 implies, and the left hand side of the equation 1 remains as it is, del 2 psi by, del x square plus del 2 psi by del y square plus del 2 psi by del z square, and which is equal to 1 by v square, where v is the velocity of the wave, into del 2 psi by del t square. Now we know the value of del 2 psi by del t square, which is equal to minus omega square psi. So we get this right hand side as minus omega square upon v square psi. Now we have to find out the value of omega square upon v square. Now that is the value we can find, and in substituting here in terms of measurables, that means now it is really difficult to measure the velocity of this matter wave, what we are considering, and the angular velocity of this matter wave. So what we can measure is the kinetic energy and potential energy and total energy of the wave. Okay, so these are the measurable quantities, whereas omega and v are not measurable directly. So we can replace this by measurable quantities, and then we can just rearrange the terms so that we get the Schrodinger's wave equation. Now how to rearrange the terms or how to solve this? So here we will use de Broglie hypothesis. So what de Broglie says? De Broglie hypothesis says lambda, which is the wavelength of this wave, is nothing but h upon p, or that is equal to h upon mv. Okay. Now here we can just write omega is angular frequency, and this is 2 pi f. F is frequency, and we know frequency multiplied by wavelength is the velocity. Normally in quantum mechanics we write nu lambda equal to c. So in classical mechanics, instead of nu we have the frequency denoted by f, lambda as it is, and the velocity is denoted by v. So we can write f equal to, from this equation we can write the f equal to v divided by lambda, and therefore we can take this v on left hand side, so we get omega by v, because we want to find out the value of omega square by v square. So omega by v equals to 2 pi by lambda. Okay. Now we know the value of lambda from the de Broglie hypothesis, and that is h upon mv or h upon p. So we can write, instead of lambda, 2 pi by h upon p. Now we can just solve this, and we define one uh, constant which is called as h cross. H cross is h divided by 2 pi, and obviously 2 pi by h will be 1 upon h cross. So p goes to numerator, so p divided by h cross. So p goes to numerator, and 2 pi by h cross, sorry, 2 pi by h. So from this equation, 2 pi by h will be 1 by h cross. So this is p by h cross, where p is the momentum of the particle. Okay. And therefore the value that we want is omega square by v square, which is equal to p square upon h cross. Okay. Now again, the momentum is not the measurable quantity as far as these small particles are concerned. So we have to convert this momentum into say measurable quantity. So let us write this equation as equation 3. Okay. So what is p square? P square is nothing but m square v square, because p is mv, the momentum. So I can just rearrange the term as half. I want half mv square here, so that I can just rearrange as kinetic energy. Okay. Now what I can do is I can just write 2 here and then divided by m here. Okay. So that is the kinetic energy, half mv square, and I have just arranged the term. So 2 divided by 2, so multiply by 2. Here we have m square, so we have the sorry, not here. This should be 2m. So half mv square into 2m will be the same value. Okay. So I can write this safe as twice m into kinetic energy. Right? Now what is kinetic energy? We know total energy E is equal to the sum of kinetic energy and plus potential energy. So let us denote this kinetic energy by capital K and potential energy by V. So we have the value of E as K plus V, and therefore the kinetic energy K is equal to E minus V. Okay. And that is equal to half mv square. Okay. Now we can put this value of half mv square here. Okay. E minus v. So what we get is p square equal to, now twice m I just write initially, and as half mv square. So this is E minus v. Now we have the value of omega square upon v square here, this equation. Omega square upon v square is equal to p square upon h cross square, and that is equal to p square value is twice m E minus v divided by h cross square. So putting this value in equation say 2, draw the equation here, omega, yeah, this one, say equation A. Okay. So we can put this value of omega square upon v square here. So what we get is equation A implies, so this del square psi by del s square left hand side remains as it is, del square psi by del y square plus del square psi by del z square equals to minus omega square upon v square. That was the term. So we write here as twice m E minus V by H cross square psi. Okay. Now we define, or we know already, we know that this del by del x squared and plus del 2 by del y square plus del 2 by del z square. This is a Laplacian operator and this is denoted by del square. So in short, what we can write, instead of this, we can write del square psi equals to minus twice m E minus V psi divided by H cross square. Or we can take H cross square upon twice m on left hand side and also minus on left hand side. So minus H cross square upon 2m del square psi equals to E minus V psi. And this is the popular form of Schrodinger equation. Normally we write in this term. Also we can write now this is Schrodinger's time independent equation, because there is no time term now. There is no del 2 psi by del t square term. So therefore it is called as time independent equation. And all the what you say, the fundamental particles or the related to electron, proton, all the wave functions can be derived on the basis of Schrodinger equation. Not for proton, but mostly for electrons. So what are the shapes of the orbits you get that are derived from this equation? You can find out the shape of, say, one s orbital which is spherical, and p orbitals which are dumbbell shape like this or like this or like this, depending upon the axis. So this is x-axis, so this is px, and then py and pz. So like this. So all these shapes are because of this, all the values of energy and potential energy, and solving this equation we get the wave function, and then wave function can be drawn across, say, x, y and z. Okay. So depending upon that you get these values. Now this is static. Static means it is not changing with time. So for example, if you take the isolated atom, so then the Schrodinger equation, which is time independent equation, can be solved for that certain system. But if suppose we have an atom here, say electron in this atom, and there is some photon or some energy is given to this electron, then the electron will change the orbit. Okay. Or it will absorb, it will not absorb, and whatever the possibilities may be. So in that case, we have to talk about time dependent phenomena. This is time dependent, and therefore we talk about the Schrodinger's time dependent equation. Okay, and Schrodinger time dependent equation is always used for the time dependent phenomena, whereas energy is given to the electron or energy is taken from the electron. For example, the electron jumps from higher orbit to lower orbit and it gives out the photon. All these cases are considered with the Schrodinger's time dependent equation. So for the Schrodinger time dependent equation, we start with the Schrodinger's time independent equation. So Schrodinger's time independent equation, and that is given by minus h cross square upon 2m del square psi equal to E minus V psi. Or I can take this V psi term on left hand side. So what I get is minus h cross square upon 2m del square psi plus V psi. So minus becomes plus, equal to E psi, where this psi is function of x, y, z and t. Now here in this equation, we'll try to understand what is the value of E psi. So what is the meaning of E psi? Okay. And then we'll try to find out the value of E psi and replace it with a time dependent term. So the left hand side in this case remains same. There is no change because all this, see, this is del square is the function of x, y and z, and V is also a function of x, y, z. V means potential energy, and potential energy is not changing with the time. So this these two terms are time independent, so all the left hand side is time independent. Okay. Now we know that we have considered this psi function as the function of psi 0, which is x, y, z, and e to the power minus omega I omega t. Now if we differentiate this equation with respect to time, del psi by del t, then it is equal to, so psi 0 is constant because it is function of x, y, z with respect to time. Remember, when we say psi 0 is constant, that means it is constant with respect to time, not with respect to x, y, z. But we are just taking the differentiation with t and therefore partial derivative. So del by del t of exponential minus I omega t. So what we get is psi 0 as it is x, y, z, and del by del t of e to the power minus I omega t is e to the power minus I omega t into e to the power I omega t into minus I omega. Now this value we already know, it is same as that of the psi function, and therefore we can write this as minus I omega psi, where psi is now the function of x, y, z and t, and psi 0 is the function of x, y, z. Remember. Now what is omega? We have from Planck's equation. What Planck's equation says? The energy is discrete. So now we use the the quantum property. So E equal to h not h cross, h nu. Now I can write this as h divided by 2 pi into 2 pi nu. So it is just multiply and divide by the 2 pi. Now why we are doing all these things? Because we know this is h cross as we have defined, and 2 pi nu is omega. So E is h cross omega, and therefore omega equal to E divided by h cross. Now we can write this value here so that we get del psi by del t equal to minus I, and omega is now E by h cross and psi. Now why we are doing all these things? Because we want the value of E psi. So we want the value of E psi, and therefore let us take this E psi on left hand side and rest of the things on right hand side. So E psi will be equal to, this h cross will go to numerator and minus I will go to the denominator. So h cross divided by minus I del psi by del t. Now what is the value of, say, 1 divided by minus I? Okay. So we know 1 means it is I square. Sorry, not I square. I square is minus 1. So what we can write is this is equal to minus 1 divided by I. It is same. And minus 1 is I square. So I square divided by I, and that is equal to I. So you should remember that 1 divided by minus I is just, we have taken minus sign in the numerator, minus 1 divided by I. Minus 1 is I square, and therefore I square divided by I, that is equal to I. So I can safely write this as E psi equal to, instead of 1 by minus I can write I h cross del psi by del t. This is the value of E psi. Now remember the previous discussion that we call this E as the operator and not the constant. So this is not just a multiplication of E and psi. It is the operation. And what is the operator? I h cross del psi by del by del t. If you just think about psi separately, then E operator can be written as I h cross del by del t. That will be the operator. Okay. So putting this value of E psi in the first equation, what we get is minus h cross square upon 2m del square psi plus V psi. That was the left hand side, and the right hand side was E psi. Now instead of E psi, I just write I h cross del psi by del. Now here the left hand side is completely the function of space, whereas the right hand side operator is completely the function of time, and this is called as Schrodinger's time dependent equation. Wherever there is a phenomena, for example photon electron interaction or energy matter interaction, so there we use the Schrodinger's time dependent equation, because the phenomena, the energy levels are shifting, changing, or the position of electron or the energy of electron is changing with respect to the time. So this is time dependent phenomena, and therefore the wave function will change with time, and therefore we have to use the Schrodinger's time dependent equation. So all these equations will be useful in quantum mechanics, and related to the quantum mechanics there are nanomaterial phenomena and micro level phenomena. Not much micro, but nano level phenomena or nanoparticles, nanomaterials. We have to talk about this. Also, when you talk about quantum well and quantum dot, okay, quantum dot, quantum well. So all these applications, for example, the LED, light emitting diode. So the thickness of the say the active region in LED is very small. It is so small that you cannot use the classical equations. Okay, what are the equation you are using for Newtonian mechanics? Okay, so we cannot use it. You have to use the quantum mechanics. Okay, and obviously the laser, uh, specifically the semiconductor laser. Okay. So the semiconductor laser, for example, VCSEL, vertical cavity surface emitting laser, which is used in communication, optical communication. So this is a transmitter, VCSEL. So this kind of all phenomena are useful for uh, all are useful on nano level, and therefore we have to use the quantum mechanical conditions, and we have to use the Schrodinger's time independent or time dependent equation depending upon the situation. I hope you have understood this, and there could be maybe long answer question or maybe some objective questions depending upon the exam pattern. Okay.